questions that are being asked, I'd like to mostly address, so this is my preference, is questions that affect how you walk. Questions about living this out. What he's always told me is, tell them that if they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, they'll be where they're supposed to be. But you need a teacher to teach you what it is you need to be doing. All right, so this is the live stream zone one. So this works in this really cool hybrid technology. We're going to use the Zoom. All right, I'm going to look at the little iPad I got here and start calling on people in the room. Let's see. Elder Billy. No, he's just there helping host the room. Well, you are on my pad. All right. So let's begin with Annabelle in Odessa. Yay!
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
Hey, can women do the shooting too?
Say it one more time.
Can women do the shooting too? You were talking about getting together and going out and doing shooting.
Oh, the shooting. It's open to everyone. If we do it. If we do it. Hey, listen, I said Rabbi Tom's a good shot. I won't even tell you how good Rebbetzin Joanne is, okay? Okay, but he says she's better than he is, so I don't know. She must be a really good shot, okay? So yeah, the ladies can shoot. Just a matter of what we're planning for each group. We may do something separate for the ladies and that kind of thing, but yes. Well, what are you asking? You're not even here. You're in Odessa. We'll have to do something in Odessa for you guys. All right. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, today during Zone meeting, I heard about the woman was talking about the shirts and the scriptures on the shirts, and I wanted to tell you right now and apologize because I put some of your quotes on T-shirts because it's impacted my life. And I didn't ask permission, and I want to apologize for that because I should have asked. It was just like, own it, fix it, move on. Another quote that you have on there too, and I just wanted to apologize for that, Rabbi.
All right, well listen, you can't take somebody's stuff, whatever it is, and start making money on it without permission. You just can't do that. Especially if I want to put that out there, now I'm competing with myself through you. All right? Okay, so for all of you, I don't know, I'm not picking on you particularly. You're not the only one who's been doing this. I don't know where your brain is at though. What are you guys thinking that you could just take somebody else's stuff and put it on a t-shirt and start selling it or whatever you're doing? You just can't do that. It's their thing. Okay, I mean, now obviously there's some things that have been out there for centuries that we don't know whose thing it is. But when you know it's mine, you know it's mine, okay? All right. What else can I do for you?
I've never sold them, Rabbi. I just made a shirt for myself.
Okay, making for yourself is not quite as bad as selling them, but you still should have asked. If you wanted to make it just for yourself,
yes,
I might have said yes, okay? But you should ask, okay?
Yes, sir, and I apologize, and it won't happen again, I promise.
No problem. And by the way, for everybody out there, if there's anything I've said that you think would be great to have on a shirt that we could put out there, maybe have them at feasts or whatever, just let me know what you want. Maybe we'll make something and put something out there so you can have it. But then the ministry could actually use it as a fundraiser to whatever degree as well. All right? Okay? Go ahead, next.
Okay, I'm done. I'll get back in line for the one, but I wanted to first do that.
Gabriel's got to fix that sound. It's terrible. All right, let's go with Megan. And where are you, Megan? I know that she was in Odessa. Where are you located?
Central Nebraska.
Central Nebraska. Okay, go ahead.
All right. So some questions on keeping the Sabbath.
Keeping what?
The Sabbath.
Okay.
Several questions that maybe you can just run through and give me a yay or nay. Is running and then later unloading the dishes, is that a problem?
Okay, it's funny. That question came up last night here just locally in our own egg. Okay, these kind of questions seem to come up on a regular basis. All right, look. We don't do on Shabbat anything that at least for sure doesn't have to be done on Shabbat. Now, things that you think have to be done on Shabbat, you may want to check and make sure they're still okay to do. But certainly we don't do anything that you know you don't have to do on Shabbat. Okay, dishes don't have to get done on Shabbat, okay? I mean, we take our dishes, we put them on the counter in the sink or whatever we use in the morning on Shabbat, Friday night or whatever, and we just go ahead and deal with it that way. If there's a whole bunch of food still on stuff after an Erev Shabbat dinner or something, we might just quickly rinse them off, but we're not doing a whole cleaning and putting away and washing and running the dishwasher and all that other stuff, okay? Because it doesn't have to be done on Shabbat. Okay, so the first criteria to examine the question is always, is this something that is even necessary? Now, if you think it's necessary, it still might not be necessary, but at least if you already have decided it's not necessary, you already have your answer. A lot of the questions can be answered by you just realizing, well, I really don't have to do this. It can wait, and if it can wait, it should wait. All right, now if you're pretty sure you feel like you need to, because by the way, we have a little needs, wants, disconnect problem a lot of the time. So you may think something's necessary that's really just something you want. Then you probably should check, all right? But the first question should be, can I wait and do this later? If the answer is I can wait and do it later, then do it later, okay? Then do it later. Makes it easier. Okay, what else?
Well, part of that is we have such a large family, and we end up using a lot of the dishes out of the clean dishwasher. If I can get it run before Sabbath, then we still need those dishes, and the kids start taking them out throughout the day. I mean, I was back and forth. I'm like, is it different if we take them out one at a time, or if I just get them all out? Does that make any sense? No,
I understand. But, okay, if you're going to grab what you need to grab to use because you have all these kids, look, why don't you have the kids all recognize this is your bowl, this is your plate, this is your knife and fork for the day, okay? And if you need to just quickly rinse it off or wipe it off so you could use it the rest of the day, that's fine. We're not going to just keep creating a giant mess in the kitchen and in the sink. See, I had a great lesson as a single. For all of you that don't know how broke I might have been once upon a time, when I was single, living on my own, the first time I ever lived on my own, I had one bowl, one plate, one knife and fork and spoon set, and one glass. I couldn't have guests over. Nothing was ever in the sink because I always needed to use it for the next meal, okay? And so you started to learn to take care of your stuff, all right? Just like, look, by the way, another solution, you could use paper. You know, with Shabbat, get some disposable stuff, okay? Use it, throw it out. Of course, then your children should not get a cup every time they decide they're thirsty. Put their name on it, take a marker, write their name on the cup, okay? So they're not using 47 cups for the same day. I saw a couple of parents glaring at their children, okay? All right? By the way, some of you adults do the same thing. When I remember we used to do Sukkot and unleavened bread at this place up in the Dandridge area. We went there with the whole group. We ran everything through their kitchen and everything else, and we provided paper cups. We would go through the week's worth of cups in the first 3 days, easily, because everybody decided to use a cup every time. They forgot where they put it, or they put it down, they just grab another cup. They would go through 3 cups in the same meal, kids especially. And then, of course, we ended up working it out one time where we got everybody cups, like plastic cups. They put their name on them, and then they leave it in the room and forget it anyway. Okay? So, did that help at all?
Yes. Just 2 other ones, kind of, it's all combined. So there's the instruction about boiling on Shabbat, like to boil water to make instant oatmeal. Does that mean, like, because we do very simple breakfast, but is that a violation of Shabbat?
Okay, so when it says boil what you boil and cook what you cook, you know, the way we've ruled it from here, okay, is that we're not doing anything to anything that can't be eaten without any kind of warming or heating or anything. So since you're not eating the instant oatmeal without water boiling in it, you're not eating that. We're not doing that, okay? All right, so but then the question comes, well, what about coffee? What about tea? And how does it all work? Okay, because we do provide coffee here. But again, this is not eating and food, it's drinking, it's different. I don't know why it's different or how it's different, but it talks about boil what you boil, eat what you eat, cook what you cook, from the point of making a meal, okay? Point of making a meal. So generally what we've said with food is, you can warm it up if it's already cooked, meaning you had it for the night before and you want to just warm it up today. Good, warm it up, it's already cooked, all right? But we're not cooking on Shabbat, and I'm not making instant my son decided to be a wise guy and said he wanted to use boiling water for his ramen noodles. I said, well, if you can't eat it raw, then, so of course he took it out and started eating it raw. He said, I could eat it raw. And he ate like the whole bag. I said, good, now you don't need the water. Anyway, so, all right, so, eating a simple breakfast, so eat a simple breakfast, okay? But I would say I'm not cooking oatmeal, I'm not cooking eggs. I know there are people out there who are listening that should know better, that make eggs and make pancakes and make all this wonderful stuff that's so much fun to have on Shabbat, but it's not Shabbat worthy. And you need to knock it off. And some of you don't realize I know it's you that are doing it, but I know it's you that are doing it. There's people doing this stuff, okay? Now, I will have a bowl of cereal. I will have a shake. I don't have a problem just putting the powder and shaking it up and that's it. I'm not cooking anything. I'm not boiling anything, all right? Okay, I'll eat a yogurt, I'll eat fruit, these are all things that don't require any prepping, okay? And so you can certainly do that. I've also said that I don't think it's talking about things like tea and coffee, and that's fine too. You can go ahead and do that, all right? We have that here as far as what we do. Now here's the problem, because the argument can be made. Well, in modern days, it's not a lot of work to just take the boiling water and put it in with the instant oatmeal. That's true. But at what point do we start unraveling the whole thing by saying, well, this isn't that really work, and this is really easy, and this is really this, and this is really that? Because certainly when Moses was given these instructions originally, there wasn't any refrigeration, there wasn't any stove with electricity or with gas, et cetera, et cetera. You didn't have the simplicity we have today. So let's make the effort we can to protect the time as being set apart time, and let's keep things more simple. Okay, like for lunch today, when we're done here, okay, I'm going to be eating lunch meat, hard-boiled eggs, which were boiled yesterday afternoon before Sabbath, right on Friday afternoon. I'm going to be eating cheese, things that do not require any kind of preparation or cooking, okay? I could choose to put that in a sandwich. I'm not going to, but I don't want the bread. But still, I'm just saying is keep it simple. Why does it have to be a big deal? Oh, but it's Shabbat, it needs to be special. It is special. Doesn't mean you have to make special meals for it to be special. That's for feast keeping, which is why he says you can cook on a feast. Okay? But Sabbath's a feast. Yeah, but he gives us different rules for Sabbath. He says you can't do that. All right, so let's not do that. Let's not try to keep finding spins to try to do that, all right? Keep your breakfast very simple. You want eggs? Hard boil them the day before, okay? You want to warm up your bread? Warm up your bread. That's still warming up the bread. You could eat it either way, all right? I knew people that were cooking up steaks. I said, but you can't eat it the way it was. You had to cook it up. I don't care how much you like it raw, you still got to cook it, okay? Okay? So let's just not be doing those things. All right, next.
Just one last question, and I was asking the family, I was making my list, and my teenage son mentioned this, and I appreciated him bringing it up. We attend a Bible study and fellowship on Sabbath evening, and it always starts with a potluck. So the question is it a sin for us to eat food that other people have cooked on Shabbat or have purchased on Shabbat, things that just came right out of the oven, or somebody brings a stack of pizzas sometimes? Is that sinful for us to partake of that food that they bring to the potluck?
Yeah, look, okay. Let me be careful with this answer. It's nuanced, okay? Now, so I'm not going to be the one to decide what sin is, okay? Or whether something is sin. That's him, okay? What I'm going to say is it appropriate or not, okay? And does it sound to me like it's kosher, so to speak, like a proper way to do it, a set-apart way to do it, right? That's when we say something kosher, is it a set-apart way to do it, all right? Now, that being said, when you're talking about people bringing to an oneg for a quote-unquote Sabbath event, and they're buying it after sundown or cooking it after. We've had people show up here on Sabbath with food that didn't need to be warmed up, needed to be cooked. And we told them, no, not happening, okay? We're not cooking food on Shabbat. Now, that being said, it would be wrong or inappropriate to participate in that, okay? Now, let me tell you where the nuance comes in, okay? You're staying at a hotel. The hotel provides for everybody breakfast. Now, those people don't know any better. They're going to do this for everybody anyway, and so you're not participating in somebody who should know better doing something. So the best idea, eat the cereal, breakfast or whatever, and don't eat whatever. Don't make a waffle, because now you're cooking. But if they happen to have eggs already there, I'm not necessarily going to have a problem with you eating it. They're cooking for everybody, and it's there, all right? But that's not the same as you being at a place like this, and people who should know better broke the commandments. Does that make any sense to anybody? Okay? Just like I'm not going to ask you to right now turn off your internet because somebody's working now at the internet company and you're partaking of what they're doing. They'd be doing it anyway. Now, clearly the people in your Bible study would be doing this anyway too, but they should know better. The people at the internet company don't know any better. People at the power company don't know any better. You got your lights on at your house, your heat, your air conditioning, whatever you got going on. And so we could not be broadcasting and doing all that we're doing without utilizing stuff that is operating on Shabbat. But we're using something that exists whether we use it or not. It's still there. And that's the nuance. You gotta be careful with that. If you're not sure about something, please call and let me make the ruling, because if I'm wrong, it's on me, not on you, okay? So hopefully that makes some sense. So I would not eat something that other people did that I know is wrong, that should know better. I'm not partaking in that, all right? Okay, just so we're clear. I got invited one time. I was with a Messianic group in New York. They decided to have a fellowship after services. Sundown, it was in the summer. It must have been like 8, 9 o'clock at night. And the services was over like 3, 4 in the afternoon. We were going to go to this house and just have fellowship, I thought. And the guy came over and said, look, we're collecting $5 for pizza. And when are we getting this pizza? Now. Sundown's in 3 hours. I said, no, it's okay, I'm not getting the pizza. And I didn't eat any of the pizza they got. Okay? Does that make any sense? All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Megan. All right, Miss Jeannie Zick, and you're in the Carolinas somewhere.
So one of the questions that was asked this morning got me thinking about this, and so I just wanted to ask. Our older kids were taught about the rapture when they weren't in this walk, and I know that our daughter is concerned because she's heard about, what we were taught before this walk and a little bit when we were on this walk, but before, m.t.o.i. And she refuses to watch you, not because she doesn't like you. She's met you. She likes you very much. But she feels like if she learns the truth and doesn't follow it, she'll be penalized. So if someone kind of knows the truth and doesn't follow it, will they be penalized?
All right. Look, okay. This is kind of, I guess, important that we cover this. We put yourself in the Creator's shoes, all right? He is not, church didn't teach you this. He is actually evaluating you. Not just watching to see if you keep a commandment or not, but he's evaluating you, the choices you make, and why you make those choices. Because he's evaluating spending forever with you. And so if somebody knows something's probably the truth and I'm purposely avoiding it so I don't have to deal with it, does that actually score a lot of points, you think, with the Father? Okay? Because it's all about your character, your courage, and your commitment to be in line with him. So if you're afraid to listen because you know then you'll be responsible, that fear tells him a lot about you. So this isn't helping anything. You think it is because, well, then I can't be accused of breaking something I didn't listen to know. But you know the truth is there and you're avoiding it. See, there's a difference between someone who doesn't know. I mean, we can play the ignorance is bliss game, I guess. But there's a difference between not knowing and purposely not knowing. Okay? Because if you're purposely not knowing, you know what that means? You know. At least you know the truth is there and you're avoiding it on purpose. Okay? And that's not going to fly. And so I would tell the child, you know where the truth is, you're avoiding it is not going to avoid the penalties and problems you're going to have with the Father, who's going to know exactly what you did. You can't, we are so dumb. We think we're so slick. We're so stupid that we're going to pull one over on the Father. Oh, I just won't go and read anything, so I won't be responsible. That's just not going to work, okay? It is just not going to work. Because, I joke a lot about the people saying, well, he knows my heart. He knows your heart. As a matter of fact, that's what he's judging. He's judging your heart. Deuteronomy 8:2 is all about whether or not you have the heart to keep his commands, right? Well, if you know that the commands are there and the truth is there and you're avoiding it, what does it say about your heart? Sometimes I think we just don't want to embrace the truth about what this is all about. This meaning life, okay? This is about a supreme being deciding whether or not to spend eternity with some people. And even in all of our, failing, stupid, fleshly, whatever, dumb stuff, we're still smart enough to know that certain things even to us wouldn't fly, let alone to him, because we wouldn't be that dumb. If you were, and again, you can say this to your daughter, okay, or your older children who are having this issue. Say, look, if you were the creator, how would you feel about somebody who knows where the truth is and is avoiding it because they don't want to have to do it? Would that impress you? It would make an impression. It wouldn't be a good one. Okay, Jeannie, does that help?
Yes, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Okay, good question. Thank you. Okay? Look, part of the other problem is this. It depends on also the doctrine that they're avoiding. She mentioned the rapture. You know what the rapture is all about? The rapture is all about fear of what's coming. I want to make sure there's a way of escape and avoidance. These are people that are likely to end up on drugs or some other thing to avoid pain, avoid problems, avoid. Okay? So the church invented the rapture for all of the people that want to know there's a way to avoid. Yahweh in all of the scripture never says anything about avoiding. He says, I'm going to send you stuff to deal with so I can see what you're made out of. Avoiding is not part of the plan, okay? You have to deal with stuff. You have to deal with all of the issues in your life, and he's going to put you in situations that force you to face and deal with them. The rapture is for cowards. Maybe I said that too strong. Okay? The rapture concept is for cowards. It's not for, the rapture is for those of us that qualify. Qualify what? Doing what? There's nobody in church that teaches you what that actually means. What do you do not to be here? What do you do to be raptured? Make an altar call, believe the Messiah is Messiah? What do you do? What qualifies you to avoid all of this? Well, I just believe. In what? Evidenced by what? It's the cowardly thing. You don't want to deal with what's coming. I don't know. Some of the greatest men of all time were called apostles, and they dealt with some stuff. Pretty much all of them martyred, okay? They didn't get to avoid anything. And these were hand-selected by Messiah. These aren't like people that just decided, he's dead now and sitting at the right hand, but I'm going to believe in him, so I don't have to suffer anymore. I don't have to deal with anything. He didn't say that anywhere. Now, the church has taught you that, but the scripture doesn't say any of that. I know you want to go to verses and tell me that the rapture's in the Bible. It's not in the Bible, okay? Oh, but we're going to meet him in the clouds. Can I ask you a question? Did it ever occur to you to ask the simple question, like, if I'm meeting him in the clouds, where is he going? We're going to meet him in the clouds. It doesn't say we're going to meet him in the clouds in heaven, because the idea of the rapture is he's coming here to snatch us up, right? So that means he's coming to pull us out. My scripture says that when he comes, everyone's going to see him and he's going to land on the Mount of Olives. It's going to split in two, and we're going to have the worst war of all time. That's Zechariah 14. That's a lot of places that talk about what's going to happen. So yeah, we're going to meet him in the sky, but we're meeting him on his way somewhere. And no, it's not going up to heaven. I spent a good long time arguing with an Adventist this past week, who of course claimed she wasn't an Adventist. But the thinking was Adventist. Okay, because the Adventists want to argue that all of us wonderful, selected, set apart people get to be in heaven while all the nonsense is happening on earth, and then we come down when it's all done. No, he comes down when it's all done. meaning the Father. The Son's here while it's all happening. The Son shows up first. We deal with all of that millennial stuff, but they want to say, oh no, we get to hang out in heaven while all that stuff's happening for the 1,000 years. That's not a scripture that says that. The church made it up to help all of you fearful cowards have a way out. Okay? I'm not afraid of being here while it's all happening. I don't know why you are. Can't be, look, in some ways, I would tell you, it can't be worse than what we're dealing with now. At least he'll be on the throne. You know. Now, yeah, there's the tribulation before that. There's been a lot of terrible times going on in the world. This is going to be the worst one, worse than anything we've had before. So what? If that really happens, we believe it will, right? All of us believe the tribulation is coming. If it really happens, the one thing it should do more than anything else is strengthen your belief. Because he said it would happen, and it's happening. And then you should be excited because you know that means he actually is going to be here soon. Because we don't know what soon is. Now we're hoping it's soon, but if we're in the tribulation, it's going to be soon. And I've taught you in the Millennium Kingdom things to look for, okay? But you guys all want to escape. You all want your get out of tribulation free card. It says that the people are going to be martyred, and these are going to be people that are thought of very highly in the, who go through the tribulation and are martyred during the tribulation. It says also that more people are going to come into covenant during that time than almost ever because they're going to face the realities and the truths about what the book's been telling everybody. So it's necessary. But I don't want to go through all of that. All right, go be a Christian. You're still going to go through it, but at least you won't think you are. I mean, you could go be an ostrich, stick your head in the sand, pretend nothing's happening, okay? Oh, we got to see a couple of those in South Africa also, a bunch of ostriches. That was kind of cool. But you got to understand, you guys have to deal with the reality of your journey is about one simple thing: overcoming your fear, okay? Because doubt is still from a fear. You're supposed to be in a place called trust and belief, emunah. That can't exist in the same place as fear. You guys are still afraid of so many things. So you need things like the rapture. You know what? Let me say this. Let's say there was a rapture. Just let's say there was for argument's sake. How does that change anything or help you? You still got to deal with life now. You don't know if it's going to happen before you die. You're still going to have to deal with all the hard things you have to deal with. What value is it anyway? The only thing it could possibly do is disempower you, thinking it doesn't matter if all the bad stuff happens. I'm getting raptured anyway. But then you're not thinking about what qualifies you for whatever is coming from the above. And that has to do with you overcoming. Look, go listen to the two most important teachings I ever did: fear of Yahweh and overcoming, okay? And I go back to them over and over again. Taught them 25 years ago, taught them 12 years ago, taught them again after that. When I used to go guest speak anywhere, always taught fear of Yahweh, overcoming. Because it says, to he who overcomes till the end receives all this. That's in Revelation. All the stuff that everybody's wanting to receive, it's the one who overcomes. You can't overcome if you're a coward. If you're riddled with fear, you're not overcoming anything. What are you overcoming anyway? Your fear. Your self-sovereignty, your emotional needs, wants, disconnects, and everything else. You're overcoming you, the flesh, the below, all that stuff, that earthly stuff. Nobody gets anything if they didn't overcome. Do you understand that? I should say anything. You're either going to get the fire or you're going to get the forever. But you're not getting the forever if you didn't overcome. But what do you have to overcome? You, the world, okay? Go listen to that teaching. It's covered in there fully from front to back, all right? What you need to overcome and what that looks like. Look, I'm just sitting here shouting at the top of my lungs because I see too many of you, you have the hope of the reincarnation. That's my new favorite line. Because some of you think like, well, I'll just get a second chance or a third chance, maybe that'll work out. You're not doing it now like you should. Okay, you're walking around like Elder was like, meanwhile, your time clock is ticking, and you're just goofing off. You're not taking this seriously as far as you becoming him. That's an everyday, all things you're doing type of thing. It's not just about your work or this. It's in your relationships. It's in your work and how you take care of your health. And you know what? He's watching how you stuff your face. He's watching what you do with your leisure time. He's watching everything. And he's sitting there going, I don't know. I don't know if I want forever with that person. Look what they're doing with the time I gave them. And this is limited time. They should have more urgency in there. And there's no urgency. You know? Some of you guys get real urgent, though, when you get diagnosed with something bad. Then all of a sudden, oh, I got to fix everything. Well, if you fixed it first, you wouldn't end up with the diagnosis of something bad. And something bad that you're being diagnosed with is death. That's you got two choices, death and eternal life. Now, some of you think, death doesn't sound so bad. It's permanent. The death know nothing. Okay, the dead know nothing. Well, fine. You could choose that if you want. Hey, it's foolish and sad that you would do that. I mean, I think you should at least be reconciled to know or comforted to know there's no torture and suffering from that point of view. But he's offering. It's an offer. You could choose life and life eternal. But, you know, it's the greatest reward offered to anybody in the history of the universe, and of course it requires the most. He wants everything so that he can give you everything. Deuteronomy 6, right? We do this every time with the Shema and the V'ahavta. It says, and you shall love Yahweh your Elohim with everything. Paraphrasing, right? He wants everything. But if you give him everything, he'll give you everything. It's a reciprocal thing that he set up. If you give him everything, he will give you everything. He says, if you will trust and obey everything that comes out of my mouth, I will give you everything. Simple. But you have to win the battle over you and the world. This is tough. Listen to the teachings. All right. Hopefully that helped. All right, who's next on here? Let's go with Edwin, and tell everybody where you're from.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Shabbat Shalom.
From California.
Where are you from?
California.
California, okay. I won't hold that against you.
Okay. My first question is, obviously this is a never-ending effort, in this walk and being obedient to Yahweh. So I was curious how would you go about being covenanted? So like in terms of like getting like a circumcision and being immersed, or like something specific that we're supposed to do?
Okay, so covenant has two aspects to it, right? There's the commitment level that you do in here and in here, in your mind and in your heart. That's why you should read the 8 declarations that we do for the mikvah, because that's, to me, the mindset and the heart of covenant, okay? And then as far as the second aspect is the mechanics of it, okay? The mechanics of covenant are obedience to Torah. A sign of covenant would be the circumcision and the mikvah. All right, these are signs of covenant, but they're not actually the covenant. They're signs that you're covenanted. So you're asking about, well, how does this work with the signs? Well, you need to get circumcised if you're not circumcised. If you're an adult, if you're 19 or older, you need to get circumcised, okay? 20 or older, right? That's the book of Numbers, 20 and older is an adult. So you need to get circumcised. If you're committing to this, then you should go in the water and make the 8 declarations to make a public declaration of your commitment to Yah, okay? But really, it's 2 aspects. The first has to take place in here, in your heart, and up here in your mind, where you choose him. You choose covenant. And then there are things that show and demonstrate that you made that choice. Your Torah observance, your mikvah, your circumcision, okay? Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
What about for your son? Do you do the circumcision on him at a young age as well?
All right. This has been the guidance that we've been giving for 25 years now, okay? If you're covenanted and your child is born, you circumcise that male child on the 8th day. okay? If your child has already been born and you weren't covenanted when that happened, now the child is 2, 5, 10, 12, whatever, leave the child alone until they're old enough to make their own choice. Now, I have seen teenagers and younger kind of demand that of their parents, and that's fine. But let the child do that, okay? Trust me, I was circumcised on the 8th day. I don't remember, right? It's the 8th day. You do that to a 12-year-old, they'll remember, okay? And hate you for it if they didn't want to do it. So if you missed the initial opportunity at 8 days, I'm okay with you waiting and allowing them to make that choice when they're 20 or older. Let them make the choice. Now, some teenagers have chosen younger. I remember we had a whole family before Passover years ago that in one of the international Zone 3 places who the father and their boys, the teenagers, all went and got it done at the same time. But that's because the boys wanted to do it, not because they were being coerced, forced, or made to do it. Because what we don't want is them to resent anything to do with Yah because you force stuff on them, okay? Did that answer your question, Edwin?
Yes, thank you.
All right, good. Okay, now what you should be doing, though, with your child is preparing them that they will have a choice to make when they get older, and the choice will be theirs. This goes back to Philippians 2:12, that we are to walk out our own salvation in fear and trembling, right? Okay. All right, let's go to... I thought Abby was there in Odessa. Did you turn off your camera? Are you still there? I guess not. Okay, Monique, we'll go to you instead.
Shabbat Shalom, Rabbi.
Okay, tell everybody where you are. I know you're here in the States, but go ahead and tell everybody where you're from.
I'm from Washington State.
Washington State. Okay, we're staying on the West Coast.
Yeah. All right, so my question was, I was reading in Exodus, and you know how in chapter 4, Yahweh wants to kill Moshe on the way?
Yeah.
I'm not really touching on that whole part, but what I was thinking of was that, you know, you hear in chapter 2 how his child Gershom was born, but then you don't hear about the other child being born.
Right.
So in chapter 4, verse 24 through 26, that's when we hear of the incident with the circumcision. Right. So what I was wondering is, to apply this to my life, could it have been that maybe the second son was actually 8 days old when they stopped at the lodging place? And maybe the idea would be that no matter what's going on in our life, we need to keep the commandments. So whatever we're doing, whatever might be happening, we need to guard the commands and be vigilant and diligent at all times.
All right, so
What do you think about that?
Well, if you have been, and I know you've been with us for a few years now, I always don't skip, I address this every time we go through this Torah portion by saying we don't know what's going on here. There are definitely things in Scripture that are so disconnected time-wise from then till now that it's really hard to know what was the issue. It's this little thing that just pops up. It doesn't seem like it fits into anything else that's going on. And then all of a sudden, you know, we've got Zipporah throwing the foreskins at him and having this whole thing going on. Look, it doesn't come to a ready answer. I've never been given a ready answer. Your interpretation is certainly not a problem. I mean, it certainly could mean some of those kind of things, but we really don't know what was happening here because he doesn't tell us anything, okay? All right, it says in verse 22, it says, you say to Pharaoh, thus said Yahweh, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let me go, let him go. See, I am killing your son and your firstborn. And he came to me on the way in the lodging place that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him. Whoa, what? Where did that come from? No warning, no chastisement, no issue that we know about, nothing's happening. All of a sudden, Yahweh wants to kill Moses. Okay? And so then Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and threw it at Moses' feet. And she goes, indeed, you are a bridegroom of blood to me. I have no idea what that means. Okay, specifically here, I could come up with all kinds of guesses for all of this stuff. I don't know that'd be very useful, okay? This is a section that is one of those ones that we go, Okay, it's there. I don't know what to do with it. Put it on the shelf. One day he'll tell us, okay? Okay, so Monique, your interpretation certainly, is a positive interpretation in terms of what you can do from it and take and put in your life. Is it what it's actually talking about? I have no idea, okay? Nobody does.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Rabbi.
You're welcome, okay? All right, and Edwin, you were supposed to get out of the room. You're still in there. Okay, unless you have another question, because you're still in the room. Did you have another question?
I do.
Oh, so that's why you're still in the room. Okay.
I have a question. So I have like a side business with Amazon.
Say one.
So I know that you're not supposed to sell on Shabbat. It profanes the Shabbat. So like, there's a setting where you go on vacation, so you don't sell. And then there's like product that you send them. And like, even on vacation, someone can still buy it. So like, what would your opinion be on that?
Okay, I have to admit I heard only half of that. You were breaking up in and out, so I didn't quite catch it. You're doing some business that some of it may take place on Shabbat, even if you have no control over it. Is that about right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have an online business, all right, or you have a business that works internationally, when it's not always Shabbat in the same places. Look, I remember years ago we were talking, somebody was asking about what Bible I use, and someone typed in the ISR scriptures, and somebody else typed in, yes, I know, I just bought it. And the person's like, what do you mean you just bought it? It's Shabbat. And the person's like, not where I am, I'm in Australia, or wherever they were. So they were already in zone 3, it was already, Sunday by the time they were typing it in. So that's where we have some differences going on. You can't control all that. Okay? You are not doing active commerce on Shabbat. You could shut your website down during Shabbat where you are, if you can, or you could just not deal with fulfilling or dealing with anything that you would normally do business-wise until after Shabbat. Okay? You can't control these things. Just like, the electric company, if it was a Sabbath-keeping electric company, wouldn't shut everything down on Shabbat so nobody would have power. Okay? And so I would say if you have a business, like, for example, a business that you have control over, like let's, for example, say you're a realtor, okay? By the way, it's realtor, not realtor, okay? It's R-E-A-L-T-O-R, okay? There's no extra A in there, all right? Realtor. Let's say you're a realtor. I've had realtors that we've had, since we've been doing the Messianic, who would, and I included, I was a realtor while Messianic, all right? I just didn't do open houses on Saturday. I didn't show houses on Saturday. I didn't do all these things on Saturday. I had control over that, all right? So I'm not going to do that kind of business because it's on Shabbat. But if I have something online that's always available 24/7, 365, I can't control who's buying it where. Okay, but I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to do anything business-wise with it until after Shabbat. So don't be sitting there on your phone checking to see, oh, look, I made some more money, all right? It's Shabbat. Let's not be doing that, all right? Did that answer the question? Did that help, Edwin?
Yes, it did.
All right, good. All right, good. By the way, let me take this in another direction that probably be helpful also. If you have something that you need a vendor to do, and once it becomes the vendor's to do, the question then comes up, well, should you stop them from doing work on Shabbat? Like, for example, I'm hiring somebody, like I've got these people right now working on the property. And it's their job, it's their task. They don't work for me directly. They work for the contractor. I've given them the project. Well, what if they want to work on Shabbat? That's not my problem. They're not my manservant or maidservant. They all work for the guy who owns the construction company. You understand what I'm saying? Now, I can ask them, hey, I'd rather you not, but it is no longer under my control because they don't work for me. I gave them authority over the project. You understand? Now, if you have a problem with your plumbing, for example, and it's not an emergency, you could tell the plumber, I don't want you coming over till it's not Shabbat. That's where you have control. But once you've given over something to somebody, well, you can try to put some restrictions in there, but you're not going to be in trouble if you have a problem, because if it's a long period of time and it's their project, they're going to do their project. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Okay? Look, you can tell the realtor, I don't want you showing my house on Saturday if you're selling your house. And that's fine. You have somewhat of a control over that. Because people often will say, you can't show it this weekend because I'm having people over. You can't show it this day because I'm doing this, right? You restrict things. Okay? I've got a year-plus project going on. It's not my project anymore. I gave it over to them. Does that make any sense? I'm trying to give you the perspective, okay? I could try to control it. They've already actually said to me that they would try their best to adhere to that, knowing what we do. But am I going to worry about it? Am I going to be in trouble if they do it, whatever they do? It's not on me. This is where we have to go back to the idea of your male servant or your maid servant. These are people that you have full authority over. Understand that? I don't have full authority over these people working on my project. I gave them the project. I said, get this done by October next year. Okay? And so I don't have authority there. Why not? You're the owner. But I gave them the project. Okay? And everybody working for them works for them. They don't work for me. Now remember, it's different. What if you owned a business? It's your business, everybody works for you. You own the business, they all work for you. They're your manservant, maidservant. You make sure you're closed on Shabbat. Your business does not do business on Shabbat, nor do the people working for you directly. You have authority and control over that. Does that make sense to anybody? And please don't play the game, well, what if I had a business partner and they didn't keep Shabbat so they could run the business on Saturday? And no. Don't play that game. It's going to bite you in the butt. Okay? Don't play that game. It's still your business. You are an owner. Okay? You can't selectively decide I'm not an owner on Saturday. You're an owner. All right? But you're benefiting. Okay, you want to not be an owner on Saturday? Then don't make any of the money that comes in on Saturday. It's all the other guys. Are you going to do that? No, you're not going to do that. Okay? All right. Next. Okay, Edwin, you done or you got more?
I do have one more. Sorry,
you know what the best part about this is? Janet's laughing. And she's applauding you for having more.
Because I know you get in line. That's why I didn't want to.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Ask your question.
Okay, I was just curious about this part right here. Okay. Leviticus 19, verse 27.
Okay.
Do not round the corner of your head. But like in terms of like stylish, like your hair, I know last time you mentioned like you can't grow out your beard, like you don't want to look like the Egyptians. They were in Mitzrayim.
Right.
So when it comes to like, rounding your haircut, like, is there a specific style that you're not supposed to do, or?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because after looking at you, I've been meaning to say something. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I know you are.
Okay.
I usually get.
Look. You know, if you ever look at like the old. If you look at like the old Catholic friars and they had this bowl cut on their head, and that's kind of what it's saying not to do, okay? We're not going to do this thing, but it's about not looking like the pagan priests looked. And they had these beards that they did certain things with. And so your haircut is fine and the style's fine. Don't cut symbols into the hair and do all these other things that people do, all right? So you're fine. Don't worry about it, all right? All right, anything else?
I think that's it right now.
All right, get out and get to the back of the line. Okay. Olivia in Ohio. Miss Dirth, how are you?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you can hear me okay. I've got my earphones in. It's messing up.
That's okay. What's up?
Okay, let's see if I can get to my questions. So Yeshua says to people in Matthew 5:38, he was talking about, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth and all that. And going through the Portia with you guys, I'm learning that there's actually a law that talks about an eye for an eye and all that. Exodus 21, 24, and Leviticus 24:20.
All right, so what's the question?
And so I was wondering, is the reason he said this, it wasn't a problem with the law. It sounded like the people had taken the law into their own hands and was making up their own eye for eyes and tooth for tooth laws towards people that they may have hated. or did them wrong, like the Romans. And which is why he said after that, you should love them and pray for them. Is this correct? Would you say this is correct?
No. All right, so look, let's understand what's happening here, okay? The eye for eye, tooth for tooth, Yeshua is quoting that from the Tanakh, but it's all about a justice in terms of the balanced response to whatever happened, all right? Okay? Somebody knocked out your tooth, you're not going to take out their eye, okay? An eye is so much more valuable than a tooth. It's not like literally we're taking an eye or a tooth, okay? But it's trying to give you that equal weights and measures type of thing, all right? Okay, we're not going to have the death penalty for something that should be a slap on the wrist, okay? Those kind of things. Proper justice. Now what Yeshua is talking about, okay? So Yeshua is saying, let your yea be yea and your no be no. And then he said, you heard it said before in verse 38, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked. Whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other side also. And he who wishes to sue you. Now, in other words, he's saying, on these really petty things, why not take a higher ground in trying to get always that justice? I want justice. How about showing patience and compassion? Someone slaps you on the face, so to speak, he says, or from the other side. Not literally,
Right.
okay? He says the same thing if they sue you for, to take away your inner garment, let them have your outer garment as well. Okay, if he compels you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles. In other words, he's trying to get you to go up a level in how you deal with people. The lowest level is very much more petty. Now, we're not talking about crimes that when you deal with in the Tanakh, which are like, somebody's animal killed your family member or something, okay? These are like really much more petty things. All right, someone's going to sue you for your garment, fine, give him another one. All right? Somebody's going to slap you in the face. By the way, much more likely we're talking about a verbal thing, like a challenge. So don't take these things so personally. So Yeshua is not saying anything to undermine the old. He's saying in the old it was balanced retribution for whatever happened. He's saying, I think there's a lot of things that you guys don't even have to have retribution. How about going to the next level instead of always looking for retribution? So he's taking those petty things, because look at the petty things he's talking about. Somebody insulted you, which is like the slap in the face. Somebody wanted to sue you for your jacket or your inner garment. Somebody's trying to do compel you to go with them for a mile or whatever. I mean, in other words, these are really not serious crimes. Things that require that eye for an eye, a tooth for, but because this is where you guys come to us and say, well, but what they did was wrong and I need justice. Let's get over it. Grow up, elevate, okay? We have to elevate. By elevate, I mean you are here, Yeshua is here. The more you elevate, you get closer to where he is. You have to elevate. All right, did that help, Olivia?
Yes, that does help.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have obviously tons more, I promise.
You can ask a second one. After all, Edwin asked 5, so.
Thank you. Matthew 24,
Did you say
45 through
Matthew?
46. Yeah, Matthew.
Matthew 24, okay.
It says, who then is trustworthy and a wise servant whom his master set over his household to give them food in season? Blessed is that servant whom his master, having come, shall find him so doing. When I read this, it reminds me so much of the vertical structure that you emphasize in Ephesians 4:11.
Right.
And I think it's just great that Yah is basically saying that it's not everybody's job to be set over the household and to feed everybody. It's not everybody's job to be the manager, the teacher, the shepherd over the other servants. And this seems to support Ephesians 4:11 really well. Would you agree?
Yeah, but mostly what it's saying is whatever you have been given, he wants to find you so doing it, okay? So an elder pointed it out also in the what are you doing? Like you should be found doing, all right? We were brought here and put here to do. Okay, now it's in the context of a trustworthy servant, so it does have the vertical structure.
it seemed to be like a master over the servants. So it wasn't just the typical servant in the household. So like we're all servants in this covenant, but obviously you are a greater servant than I am.
Well, again, this is talking about one who was given authority over, okay? All of us have some authority over, whether it's your children, whether you're the head of the household, you're the man, and you have the whole family, whether you have a job that has authority, whether you're in ministry and you have authority. So remember, I've always talked about everybody's in the middle. You have those above you and those below you, no matter where you are in the vertical structure. Everybody's in the middle, except one, the Father. He's at the top, okay? Even Yeshua is in the middle. He's got the Father above him, everybody else below him, okay? But this is all about, I'm going to put you in a place of authority, so I guess that's where the vertical structure comes in, but I'm going to show up. I expect you to be a trustworthy servant found so doing, okay?
Right.
All right, good. All right,
Which is what you're doing, Rabbi.
Thank you. All right, anything else?
I can actually pause and come back in if I need to.
All right, good. All right,
Thank you, Rabbi.
no problem.